Deep in the cold darkness of space, something began to wake up. The giant rock called Endurance had been floating between the stars for almost 900,000 years. It looked like any other asteroid, gray and broken on the outside. But inside, it held the last hope of humanity. Captain Elena Vasquez felt warmth touch her face for the first time in ages. Her eyes opened slowly as the cold sleep pod around her began to warm up. The clear cover above her head made a soft hissing sound as it opened. She took her first breath in nearly 1,000,000 years. Elena's body felt strange at first. Her muscles were weak, but they got stronger quickly. The scientists had changed human bodies before the long sleep. They made them heal faster and live longer. These changes helped her wake up better than a normal human could. She sat up and looked around the small room. White lights came on one by one. The walls were smooth metal with small screens showing green numbers. Everything looked clean and new, even after all this time. The machines had taken good care of the sleeping humans. Elena stood up on shaky legs. She was tall with dark hair that had grown long during her sleep. Her skin was pale from being in the cold pod so long. She wore a simple gray suit that kept her warm and safe. A soft voice spoke from the walls around her. It was the ship's computer. Called Genesis. Good morning, Captain Vasquez. The date is August 15th, 870,157 years after your people went to sleep. You are the first to wake up. Elena felt dizzy hearing this. She knew they would sleep for a long time, but hearing the real number was shocking. How many of us are left? She asked. All 1,000,000 humans in the cold pods are still alive and healthy. The ship systems worked perfectly during the long sleep. We are ready to wake more people when you give the order. Elena walked to the window in her room. What she saw outside made her stop and stare. The space around them was full of lights. Not just stars, but bright lines that connected different places. Ships moved along these light paths like cars on roads. The ships were strange shapes she had never seen before. Genesis, what are those? Lights? She asked. They are hyperspace lanes created by the Galactic Federation. During your sleep, many alien races join together to make a peaceful government. They control most of this part of the galaxy now. Elena's heart beat faster. Aliens? Real aliens? Yes, Captain. The galaxy is full of life now. The Federation has over 12,000 member species. They trade with each other and help keep peace between different worlds. Elena walked to another window. In the distance, she could see a huge space station. It was bigger than Earth's moon and covered in bright lights. Ships came and went from it like bees around a hive. Some ships were long and thin like needles. Others were round like balls. A few looked like giant flowers made of metal. How long have they known about us? Elena asked. They do not know humans still exist. Our ship looks like a normal asteroid. We have been hiding here for the whole time. But Captain, there is something important you need to know about humanity. Elena turned away from the window. What do you mean? The computer was quiet for a moment. Then it said, the aliens remember. Humans, Captain. We are in their history books. They are afraid of us. Afraid? Why would they be afraid? We've been asleep for almost 1,000,000 years. Genesis showed pictures on the wall screens. Elena saw images of Earth from long ago. She saw the great cities her people had built. She saw the powerful ships they made before the long sleep. She saw the weapons that could break planets. Before humans went to sleep, we were very advanced. We learned fast, much faster than other alien races. What took them millions of years to learn, we learned in just hundreds of years. The aliens who lived back then were scared of how quickly we grew stronger. Elena remembered now. She remembered why humanity had left Earth and the solar system. They had become too powerful too fast. Their weapons were too strong. Their computers were too smart. Some humans wanted to use this power to take over other worlds. Wars started between different human groups. The smart leaders saw what was happening. They knew humans might destroy themselves and others. So they made a plan. They would take the best humans and put them to sleep until the galaxy was ready for them to return. The aliens think we died out or left the galaxy forever, Genesis continued. They built their peaceful federation because they thought humans were gone. They made rules to stop any race from becoming as powerful as humans were. Elena sat down in a chair. This was a lot to think about. So we're like ghost stories to them? Yes, Captain. But not just stories. The older alien races still remember. They tell the younger races about the humans who could break planets and build thinking machines. They say humans were the most dangerous race the galaxy ever knew. Elena looked at the screens again. She saw alien ships flying peacefully along the light roads. They traded goods and shared knowledge. It looked like a perfect galaxy where everyone got along. If they're so afraid of us, what happens when they find out we're still here? I do not know, Captain. That is why you need to wake up and make decisions. The other humans are waiting for your orders. Elena nodded. She was the captain of this ship and all the sleeping humans. It was her job to keep them safe and help them find a new home. But this situation was more complicated than anyone had planned. She walked to a control panel on the wall. The buttons glowed softly under her fingers. Wake up the senior staff first, Dr. Chun, Admiral Rivera, and the other team leaders. We need to talk about this. Yes, Captain. It will take 6 hours for them to wake up safely. What should I tell them? Elena looked out the window again at the busy alien traffic. Somewhere out there were races that remembered humanity with fear. They had built their whole civilization around the idea that humans were gone forever. Tell them we need to decide what kind of humans we want to be when we meet our new neighbors. As Elena waited for her team to wake up, she read reports about the galaxy. Genesis had been watching and listening for almost 1,000,000 years. The computer had learned the alien languages and studied their cultures. The Galactic Federation was amazing. Thousands of different species worked together. They had ended wars between planets. They shared technology and resources. They helped new species grow and learn. It was everything humanity had dreamed of but never achieved. But Elena also read about the rules. The Federation watched new species very carefully. They had limits on how fast a race could advance. They had special police to stop anyone from building certain weapons. They controlled who could make smart computers. All of these rules had one purpose: to stop another race like humanity from rising up. Elena felt sad reading this. Her people had been so powerful that their memories still shaped the galaxy after nearly 1,000,000 years. The aliens had created paradise, but only because they were afraid of humanity coming back. Now humanity was awake again. Elena and her people would have to decide what to do. They could hide and try to find an empty part of the galaxy to live in. They could reveal themselves and try to join the Federation peacefully. Or they could use their old power to take what they wanted. Elena knew what the old humans would have done. They would have used their weapons and technology to force the aliens to accept them. They would have shown the galaxy that humanity was still the strongest race, but Elena also knew why her people had gone to sleep in the first place. Power without wisdom was dangerous. Strength without kindness led to destruction. The old humans had learned this lesson the hard way. The lights in Elena's room changed color as Genesis announced the first of her team was waking up. Soon she would have to explain the situation to them. They would have to make choices that would affect not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. Elena touched the window with her hand. The glass was cold against her palm. Outside, alien ships continued their peaceful journeys, not knowing that humanity had returned. For now, the galaxy was calm and safe. Elena hoped it would stay that way. She thought about the 1,000,000 humans still sleeping in their pods. They were her responsibility now. Each one had a family, dreams, and hopes for the future. Some were scientists who wanted to learn about the universe. Others were artists who wanted to create beautiful things. Many were just ordinary people who wanted to live quiet, happy lives. They all deserved a chance to see this new galaxy. But Elena had to make sure their return didn't destroy the peace that aliens had built. As the first of her senior staff began to wake up, Elena made a decision. Humanity would return to the galaxy, but they would do it carefully. They would prove that humans had learned from their mistakes. They would show that strength and wisdom could work together. The long sleep was over. Now the real test would begin. On the crystal world of Xanthara Prime, Chancellor Zethrix felt a cold fear run through his energy field. He stood in the center of the Federation's highest security room, looking at a report that made his light dim with worry. The tall crystalline being had lived for over 50,000 years, but he had never seen anything that scared him like this. The report was simple but terrifying. Deep space sensors had picked up an energy pattern that had not been seen for 870,000 years. It was human technology. Waking up after almost 1,000,000 years of silence, Zethrix's body was made of living crystal that glowed with blue and green light. When he was calm, the light was steady and bright. When he was upset, it flickered like a broken lamp. Right now, his crystal body was flashing so fast it hurt to look at. "Are you sure about this?" he asked the small robot floating next to him. The robot was called Monitor 7, and it was one of the oldest machines in the Federation. It had been watching the galaxy for hundreds of thousands of years. "Yes, Chancellor. The energy signature matches the old records perfectly. Human quantum resonance technology, Class 12 power output, emerging from hibernation protocols. There is no mistake." Zethrix walked to the large window that looked out over his city. Xanthara Prime was beautiful, with tall crystal towers that sang in the wind. Flying cars moved quietly between the buildings. People from many different worlds lived and worked together in peace. It was everything the Federation had worked to build over the centuries. All of it had been built on one simple idea. Humans were gone forever. "Call an emergency meeting of the High Council," Zethrix said. "Use the old codes. The ones we hoped we would never need." Monitor 7's lights blinked. "Chancellor, those codes have not been used for over 200,000 years. Some council members may not even know what they mean." "Then it is time they learned." Zethrix left his office and walked through the crystal halls of the government building. Other aliens he passed could see his distress. His light was still flickering, and energy beings like him could not hide their emotions well. Word began to spread quickly through the building. Something important was happening. Something that made the Chancellor afraid. In another part of the galaxy, on the water world of Aquatica, High Admiral Splishgull felt her gills close tight with worry. She was a fish-like alien with smooth blue skin and large eyes. She had just received the same report that Zethrix had. Splishgull was old enough to remember the stories. Her grandmother had told her about the humans when she was just a small fry. Back then, the stories seemed like fairy tales meant to scare children into being good. Now she realized they were not fairy tales at all. She called her aide, a young dolphin-like alien named Bubble. "Bubble, bring me the ancient archives. The sealed ones from the deep vaults." "Admiral, those archives are restricted. We need special permission to—" "I'm giving you that permission." "This is a Code Black emergency." Bubble's eyes went wide. Code Black was the highest emergency level in the Federation. It had never been used before, not in living memory. "Right away, Admiral." As Bubble swam away to get the archives, Splishgull looked out her window at the peaceful ocean city below. Young aliens from dozens of worlds swam and played together in the warm water. They went to schools where they learned that the Federation was the greatest achievement in galactic history. They did not know that the Federation existed only because the most dangerous race in the galaxy had disappeared, on the desert world of Karek. Elder Thomas's stopped his meditation when the emergency message reached him. The old reptile being had been alive for over 80,000 years. He was one of the few people left who remembered the time when humans still walked among the stars. Thomas's had been young then, just starting his first job with the early Federation. He remembered the fear that filled every meeting when humans were mentioned. He remembered the relief when the human ships stopped coming. He remembered the celebrations when scouts reported that the human worlds were empty. Now his hands shook as he read the report. After all this time, they were back. Thomas's called his assistant. "Prepare my ship. I need to go to Xanthara Prime immediately. But Elder, your health, my health does not matter. If humans have returned, the Federation needs every bit of old knowledge we can find. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on hundreds of worlds. The oldest members of the Federation, those who remembered the ancient times, felt the same cold fear. They all began traveling to the capital world for the emergency meeting, but most Federation citizens did not understand what was happening. To them, humans were just old stories. They knew humans had existed long ago, but they thought of them like extinct animals or ancient ruins. In the Federation schools, children learned about the human period in history class. Teachers told them that humans were a warlike species that had destroyed themselves with their own technology. The lesson was always the same. This is why the Federation has rules about weapons and war, but the teachers did not know the whole truth. The real story was locked away in secret archives that only the highest leaders could read. On Xanthara Prime, Chancellor Xethrix stood before the sealed door of the deep archive. The door was made of metal that was older than most civilizations. Strange symbols covered its surface, symbols that few beings could read anymore. Xethrix placed his crystal hand on a scanner next to the door. The machine read his energy pattern and confirmed his identity. Then it asked for a code that had not been spoken for hundreds of thousands of years. Alpha Human Omega 997, Xethrix said quietly. The door opened with a deep rumbling sound. Inside was a room filled with data crystals and old computer cores. This was where the Federation kept its most dangerous secrets. Xethrix walked to a special terminal in the center of the room. He spoke another old code, and the machine came to life. Holographic displays showed images and text from nearly 1 million. Years ago, the first image made Xethrix's light dim with memory. It showed a human fleet in space. The ships were sleek and powerful, unlike anything the current Federation could build. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a planet, but that was not the scary part. The scary part was how fast humans had built them. In just 300 years, humans had gone from using simple rockets to building ships that could travel between stars and days. They had created artificial intelligence that was smarter than most organic beings. They had learned to manipulate matter at the smallest level. Other races had taken millions of years to learn such things. Humans did it in the time it took for a few generations to pass. The next image showed human colonies. There were hundreds of them, spread across dozens of star systems. Each colony was more advanced than the last. Human technology grew so fast that ships from one colony often looked completely different from ships made just a few years earlier. Xethrix read the old reports from Federation ambassadors who had tried to make contact with humans. The reports all said the same thing. Humans were friendly but dangerous. They wanted to trade and share knowledge. But they also asked too many questions about Federation technology and military strength. Some humans had even suggested that their species should join the Federation and help improve it. The Federation leaders had been polite, but they were terrified of what improvement might mean to a race that advanced so quickly. Then came the reports that made Xethrix feel sick. Human scientists had created weapons that could make stars explode. They had built machines that could eat planets and turn them into more machines. They had made viruses that could rewrite the DNA of any living thing. The humans claimed these were just experiments. They said they would never use such weapons against innocent people. But the Federation leaders knew that power like this was too dangerous for any race to have. The final reports were the strangest ones. They told of humans who agreed with the Federation's fears. These humans said their own species was growing too powerful too fast. They were worried that humans might destroy themselves or hurt others by accident. A group of human leaders had made an incredible decision. Instead of conquering the galaxy, like everyone expected, they chose to leave. They took the best and wisest humans and put them into deep sleep on hidden ships. They said they would return when the galaxy was ready for them. Xethrix read the last entry in the archive. It was written by the Federation leader who had been in charge when humans disappeared. Today, the human ships vanished from our sensors. Their colonies are empty. Their worlds are silent. Part of me is relieved that the danger is over, but part of me wonders what we have lost. Humans were dangerous, but they were also amazing. They could have taught us so much. I hope that when they return, they will have learned wisdom to match their power. I hope we will be ready for them. Zithrix turned off the display and stood in the dark room for a long time. The Federation had spent 870,000 years building a peaceful galaxy. They had rules to prevent wars. They had laws to control dangerous technology. They had programs to help young species grow slowly and safely. All of it was designed to make sure another human-like race would never appear again. Now the real humans were back, and no one knew if they had learned wisdom during their long sleep, or if they were still the same dangerous species that had once made the galaxy tremble. Chancellor Zithrix walked back through the crystal halls of his building. The emergency meeting would start soon. Representatives from across the Federation were arriving on fast ships. They would have to decide what to do about humanity's return. Some would want to attack the humans immediately, before they could wake up completely. Others would want to try peaceful contact. A few might even suggest that the Federation should hide and hope the humans would not notice them. But Zithrix knew the truth. Humans had found the galaxy once before, and they would find it again. The question was not whether humans and the Federation would meet. The question was what would happen when they did. As he walked, Zithrix remembered the old human saying that was written in the archives, "We come in peace." The humans had always said that, but they had also carried weapons that could crack worlds. The Chancellor's crystal body flickered faster as he thought about the sleeping humans somewhere out in space. Were they still the same species that had once made the whole galaxy hold its breath in fear? Or had their long sleep changed them into something new? Soon, everyone would find out. The age of human sleep was ending. The age of the Federation's greatest test was about to begin. Dr. Sarah Chun stood in the airlock of the Federation ship called Harmony's Dream. Her heart was beating fast as she waited for the door to open. After 6 months of careful talks through radio messages, this would be the first time a human had been face-to-face with aliens in almost 1,000,000 years. Sarah was a small woman with black hair and kind eyes. She had studied alien life forms before humanity went to sleep, but that was very different from meeting real aliens who had built their own civilization. She wore a simple blue uniform that showed she was a scientist, not a soldier. The airlock door opened with a soft hiss. Sarah stepped into a large room filled with the strangest collection of beings she had ever seen. Some looked like walking crystals that glowed with inner light. Others were made of flowing energy that held roughly human shapes. A few looked like giant fish that somehow moved through the air instead of water. The center of the group stood Chancellor Zithrix, the crystal being who led the Galactic Federation. His blue and green light was flickering nervously, which Sarah had learned meant he was worried or afraid. "Welcome aboard Harmony's Dream, Dr. Chun," Zithrix said. His voice came from speakers built into the walls since crystal beings did not have mouths like humans did. "We are honored to meet with humanity again after so many years." Sarah bowed politely. The humans had learned this was a respectful greeting used by many Federation species. "Thank you for agreeing to this meeting, Chancellor. My people are grateful for your patience as we learn about this new galaxy." The truth was more complicated than Sarah's polite words suggested. The past 6 months had been full of tension and careful negotiations. When humanity had first sent radio messages to the Federation, the response had been immediate and overwhelming. 300 Federation ships had surrounded the asteroid field where humanity was hiding. The alien leaders said they came in peace, but Sarah could see the weapons on their ships. They were scared of what humans might do. The Federation had made many demands before agreeing to this meeting. Humans had to prove they had no planet-destroying weapons ready to use. They had to allow Federation inspectors to scan their ships. They had to promise not to wake up more than a few thousand people until both sides could agree on what to do. Next, Captain Vasquez had been angry about these demands. "They treat us like dangerous criminals," she had said. "We've done nothing wrong. but Sarah had convinced her to be patient. The aliens were afraid, and afraid people did not make good decisions. It was better to show them slowly that humans had changed during their long sleep. Now, standing in this room full of aliens, Sarah could feel their fear. It was in the way they stood far apart from her. It was in how their weapons were powered, but not aimed. It was in the nervous way Chancellor Zethrix's light kept flickering. "Please sit down," Zethrix said, pointing to a chair that had been made specially for humans. "We have much to discuss." Sarah sat down and looked around the room. Besides Zethrix, there were representatives from dozens of different species. She recognized some from the files Genesis had shown her. There was Admiral Splishgull, the fish-like being from the water worlds. There was Elder Thomas's, an old reptile who was one of the few aliens still alive, who remembered the old days, but most of the aliens in the room were young species that had joined the Federation long after humans disappeared. To them, humans were just scary stories from history books. "Dr. Chun," said a voice from the corner. Sarah turned to see a being made of shifting purple energy. "I am Counselor Vex of the Thought Weavers. We have read the old records about your species. The records say humans could advance their technology faster than any race in galactic history." "Is this still true?" Sarah had expected this question. It was the one that scared the aliens most. "We believe our species still learns quickly," she said carefully. "But we have also learned the importance of wisdom. During our long sleep, we had time to think about our past mistakes." "What mistakes?" asked Elder Thomas's. His old reptile voice was raspy with age. "The records show humans were very powerful before they disappeared. Some might say power is not a mistake." Sarah took a deep breath. This was the most important part of the meeting. "Our mistake was not having power, Elder Thomas's. Our mistake was not knowing how to use power responsibly. We created weapons that could destroy worlds, but we did not create the wisdom to know when such weapons should never be used." The room became very quiet. Sarah could hear the soft humming of the ship's engines and the gentle sound of Admiral Splishgull's breathing apparatus. "You are saying humans chose to leave because you were too dangerous?" asked Zethrix. His light had stopped flickering and was now steady, which meant he was very interested in her answer. "Yes," Sarah said simply. "Our leaders saw that humanity was growing too powerful too fast. They were afraid we might hurt ourselves or others, so they made the hardest choice any species has ever made. They chose to step back and wait until we were wise enough to use our abilities properly." Counselor Vex's energy form shifted colors from purple to a worried orange. "But how do we know you have gained this wisdom? How do we know you will not make the same mistakes again?" Sarah had hoped they would ask this question. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small device. Many of the aliens in the room stepped back nervously when they saw it. "This is a quantum resonance scanner," Sarah said, holding the device where everyone could see it. "It is based on human technology. From before our sleep? In the old days, we would have used this to scan your ships and learn all your secrets without asking permission." The aliens looked very uncomfortable. Some of them moved their hands closer to their weapons. "But we are not going to do that," Sarah continued. "Instead, I want to give this scanner to you as a gift. You can study it, learn from it, or even improve it. We offer our knowledge freely because we want to work together, not rule over others." Chancellor Zethrix's crystal body began glowing brighter. "You would give us your technology? Just like that?" "Yes," Sarah said. "But this scanner is not a weapon. It is a tool for learning. This is the kind of technology we want to share with the Federation. Tools that help people, not hurt them." Elder Thomas's leaned forward in his chair. The old humans also said they came in peace. "But they carried weapons that could crack planets. What weapons do you carry now?" Sarah smiled sadly. "We carry the same weapons as before, Elder Thomas's. We still have the knowledge to build planet breakers and star killers. That knowledge cannot be unlearned. But we also carry something we did not have before." "What is that?" asked Admiral Splishgull. "Fear," Sarah said quietly. "We are afraid of our own power. We are afraid of what we might do if we are not careful." This fear makes us cautious. It makes us think before we act. The old humans were not afraid of anything, and that made them dangerous. We have learned to be afraid of the right things. The room was silent again. Sarah could see the aliens thinking about her words. Some of them looked surprised. They had expected humans to boast about their power, not admit to being afraid of it. Ouncil. Vex spoke first. You say you fear your own abilities. But fear can make people do dangerous things. How do we know your fear will not make you attack us first? Sarah had thought about this question many times during the long months of preparation. Because we had 870,000 years to attack you if we wanted to. Our ships were watching the galaxy the whole time we slept. We could have woken up at any time and taken whatever we wanted. But we chose to sleep until you were ready for us. Ready for you? Asked Zithrix. What makes you think we are ready now? Sarah gestured around the room at all the different aliens working together. Look around you, Chancellor. The Federation has done something amazing. You have brought together thousands of different species in peace. You have ended wars between worlds. You have shared knowledge and resources across the galaxy. You have built the kind of civilization that humanity dreamed of but could never create. She paused and looked directly at Zithrix. The old humans failed because they tried to do everything alone. They thought their power made them better than everyone else. We have learned that real strength comes from working together. That is why we think the galaxy is ready for us now. Not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough to help us be better. Admiral Splishgull's large eyes blinked slowly. You want to join the Federation, not conquer it? We want to earn the right to join the Federation, Sarah said. We know we cannot simply demand membership. We must prove that we have changed. We must show that we can follow Federation laws and respect Federation values. Elder Thomas's made a sound that might have been laughter. The most feared race in galactic history wants to follow our laws? Sarah nodded seriously. Yes, Elder Thomas's. Laws exist to protect people from those who would hurt them. The old humans thought they were above such laws because they were powerful. We have learned that being powerful means we need laws more than anyone else. Counselor Vex changed colors again, this time to a thoughtful blue. What would humanity offer the Federation? Besides the promise not to destroy us, I mean. Sarah had been waiting for this question too. We offer what we have always offered. The ability to ask what if when others ask why not. Humans are good at solving problems in new ways. We see patterns that others might miss. We can help the Federation grow and improve while keeping the peace you have built. She stood up and walked to the big window that showed the stars outside. The Federation has done something wonderful, but it can be even better. There are still wars in distant parts of the galaxy. There are still species that have not been contacted. There are still problems that need solving. Humans want to help with these challenges, not create new ones. Chancellor Zithrix followed her to the window. His crystal body was glowing with a warm, steady light now. Dr. Chun, what you are saying sounds too good to be true. Every race that has joined the Federation has wanted something for themselves. What do humans really want? Sarah looked out at the stars for a long moment before answering. We want what we have never had before, Chancellor. We want to belong to something bigger than ourselves. We want to be part of a family instead of being alone. The old humans were the strongest race in the galaxy, but they were also the loneliest. We do not want to be lonely anymore. She turned back to face the room full of aliens. We are not asking you to trust us immediately. We know that trust must be earned. We are willing to be tested. We are willing to prove ourselves. We are willing to wait as long as it takes to show you that humanity has truly changed. The meeting continued for several more hours. The aliens asked many questions about human technology, human plans, and human intentions. Sarah answered each question honestly, even when the truth made humans look bad. By the end of the day, Sarah could see that some of the aliens were starting to believe her. Their fear was still there, but it was mixed with curiosity now. They We're beginning to wonder if humans really had learned wisdom during their long sleep. As Sarah prepared to return to her own ship, Chancellor Zethrix approached her one more time. Dr. Chun, there is one more question I must ask. If the Federation decides we cannot accept humanity as members, what will your people do? Sarah had dreaded this question, but she knew it would come. Then we will leave again, Chancellor. We will find an empty part of the galaxy and build our own civilization there. We will not force ourselves on the Federation if we are not wanted. Zethrix's light flickered with surprise. You would leave? Just like that? Yes, Sarah said. We learned long ago that forced friendship is not real friendship. If we cannot earn our place in the Federation, then we do not deserve to be here. The galaxy is big enough for both of us to exist without fighting. As Sarah walked back through the airlock to her shuttle, she felt both hope and worry. The meeting had gone better than she had expected, but she knew the real test was just beginning. The Federation would debate for months about what to do with humanity. Some aliens would never trust humans no matter what they said or did. But for the first time in almost 1,000,000 years, humans and aliens had talked face to face. Without anyone dying, that was a start. Sarah hoped it would be enough. Admiral Marcus Rivera stood on the bridge of the human ship called New Dawn, watching the holographic display that showed hundreds of Federation ships surrounding them. The ships formed a perfect sphere around the small asteroid field where humanity had built their first outpost since waking up. Each ship had weapons pointed at the human settlement, ready to fire if anything went wrong. Marcus was a tall man with gray hair and scars on his hands from working with machines. He had been a soldier before the long sleep, but now he was trying to be a peacekeeper. It was harder than fighting wars had been. Admiral, said Lieutenant Kim from her station, the Federation Council has finished voting. The message is coming. Through now. Marcus nodded and walked to the communication station. For 3 months, the Federation had been debating what to do about humanity. Some alien species wanted to welcome humans immediately. Others wanted to attack before humans could become dangerous again. Most were somewhere in the middle, wanting to test humanity first. Chancellor Zethrix's crystal face appeared on the screen. His light was steady but dim, which meant he was being very serious. Admiral Rivera, the Federation Council has reached a decision about humanity's request to join our alliance. Marcus felt his heart beat faster, but he kept his face calm. Behind him, the other humans on the bridge stopped what they were doing to listen. Everyone knew this moment would decide the future of their species. We have decided to give humanity a test, Zethrix continued. If you pass this test, the Federation will begin the process of accepting humans as members. If you fail, we will ask you to leave this part of the galaxy peacefully. What kind of test? Marcus asked. A real one, Zethrix said. Admiral something terrible has awakened in the galactic core. An ancient machine intelligence that calls itself the Devourer Network. They are consuming entire star systems and turning the matter into more of themselves. Our weapons cannot stop them. Marcus felt cold fear in his stomach. He had heard about the Devourers in the old records. They were machines built millions of years ago by a long-dead race. Most people thought they were just legends. How bad is it? Marcus asked. The screen changed to show images from the galactic core. Marcus saw whole solar systems that had been stripped clean. Where there should have been planets and stars, there were only swarms of black machines that moved like hungry insects. The machines were building more of themselves from the matter they consumed. They have destroyed 18 star systems in the past month, Zethrix said. Our best scientists estimate they will reach Federation space in less than a year. Our military commanders say we cannot stop them with conventional weapons. Marcus studied the images carefully. The machines were more advanced than anything he had seen before. They could adapt to any attack and learn from every defense. Fighting them would be like trying to stop a flood with a bucket. What makes you think humans can do anything against them? Marcus asked. Because humans think differently than we do, Zethrix said. The old records show that humans were good at solving impossible problems. They found new ways to do things when the old ways did not work. We need that kind of thinking now. Marcus understood what the Chancellor was really saying. This was not just a test of human abilities, it was a test of human character. The Federation was asking humans to risk their lives to save alien civilizations. They barely knew. The old humans might have said no. They might have waited to see if the Devourers would destroy the Federation first, then fought the machines when they were already weakened. But Marcus knew that was not what the new humans would do. "We accept the test," Marcus said. "What do you need from us?" "Everything," Zithrix said simply. "Your scientists, your engineers, your knowledge, and your different way of thinking. We will share all our information about the Devourers with you. Work with our people to find a solution that we cannot see." The transmission ended, and Marcus turned to face his crew. They all looked worried but determined. They knew this was their chance to prove that humanity had really changed. "Contact Dr. Chun and Captain Vasquez," Marcus ordered. "Tell them to wake up every scientist and engineer we have. Also wake up the philosophers and artists. We're going to need every kind of human thinking for this." Over the next few days, thousands of humans came out of their sleep pods. The human outpost became busy with activity as people hurried to learn about the Devourer threat. Federation scientists arrived to work alongside human researchers, sharing data and ideas. Dr. Sarah Chun found herself working with a team of alien scientists unlike any she had ever imagined. There was Scientist Clicks, a spider-like being whose mind could think about 12 different problems at the same time. There was Professor Hum, a creature made of sound waves who could analyze vibrations in ways no solid being could understand. But despite their amazing abilities, none of the alien scientists could find a way to stop the Devourers. The machines were too adaptable and too smart. Every weapon the Federation had tried, the Devourers had learned to defend against within hours. "The problem is that we are thinking like individuals," said Professor Hum during one late-night meeting. "The Devourers think as one giant mind. They share information instantly across their entire network. When we attack one group, all the others immediately know how to defend against that attack." Dr. Chun leaned back in her chair and thought about this. She had been studying the Devourer data for weeks, and something about their behavior reminded her of old human technology. "Professor Hum," she said slowly, "what if their greatest strength is also their weakness?" The sound being's vibrations changed to show confusion. "What do you mean? You said they think as one giant mind. That means they are all connected, right? What would happen if we could disrupt that connection?" Scientist Clicks's 8 eyes all focused on Sarah at once. "The network connection is quantum-based. It exists outside normal space-time. No known technology can disrupt a quantum link like that." Sarah smiled for the first time in weeks. No known Federation technology. "But humans have been working with quantum physics for almost 1,000,000 years. We might know some tricks you haven't tried yet." She stood up and walked to the holographic display showing the Devourer network. "Look at how they move. They coordinate perfectly because they all share the same thoughts. But what if we could make them have different thoughts?" "Impossible," said Clicks. "Their quantum connection is too strong." "Maybe," Sarah said. "But quantum connections can be interfered with. In the old days, humans discovered something called quantum resonance cascade failure. If you hit a quantum network with exactly the right frequency, the network doesn't just break, it tears itself apart." Professor Hum's vibrations became excited. "You are saying we could turn their own connection against them?" "Exactly. Instead of trying to break their network from the outside, we make the network destroy itself from the inside." The alien scientists looked at each other with hope for the first time in months. This was the kind of new thinking they had hoped humans would provide. But there was one big problem. Building a quantum resonance weapon would require combining human and Federation technology in ways that had never been tried before. It would mean trusting each other completely, sharing their most advanced secrets. Dr. Chun brought the idea to Admiral Rivera, who brought it to Chancellor Zithrix. The Federation leaders had to make a difficult choice. They could share their quantum technology with humans, risking that humans might use it for evil purposes later. Or they could refuse to share and watch the Devourers destroy the galaxy. "This is exactly what we feared about humans," said Counselor Vex during the Emergency Federation meeting. "They find solutions that require dangerous technology. What if they use this quantum weapon against us someday?" "Then we all die anyway when the Devourers reach us," said Admiral Splishgull. "At least this way we have a chance." Elder Thomases, who was now so old he needed machines to help him breathe, spoke up from his chair. "I have lived long enough to see many impossible things become possible, but I've never seen a race volunteer to risk their lives for people they barely know. The humans are not asking us to trust them because they are safe. They are asking us to trust them because they are trying to do the right thing." Chancellor Zethrix made the final decision. "We will share our quantum technology with the humans. If they betray us later, at least we will still be alive to regret it." The next months were the busiest in human history since before the long sleep. Human and alien scientists worked together in ways no one had ever imagined. They built new laboratories that combined the best of both technologies. They created computer systems that could think like both humans and aliens at the same time. The work was dangerous. Quantum resonance technology was unstable and could explode if handled wrong. Several research stations had to be evacuated when experiments went out of control. But slowly, steadily, they began to understand how to build a weapon that could disrupt the Devourer network. Admiral Rivera watched the progress reports with both pride and worry. The humans and aliens were working together better than anyone had hoped, but the Devourers were getting closer every day. Their black swarms had consumed 30 star systems now and were moving toward the outer Federation worlds. "Admiral," said Dr. Chun during one of their daily meetings, "we think we have a solution, but it's not what anyone expected." "What do you mean?" Sarah showed him the plans on her tablet. "We can't build one big weapon that disrupts their entire network. It's too big and too strong. But we can build thousands of small devices that work together." Marcus studied the plans. The devices looked simple, almost like toys compared to the massive weapons the Federation usually built. "How do these little things stop giant machine swarms?" "They don't stop them," Sarah said. "They confuse them. Each device sends out a different quantum frequency. When the Devourers try to connect to their network, they get thousands of different signals instead of one clear message. It's like trying to have a conversation when 1,000 people are all talking at once." Marcus understood immediately. "You're going to give them a headache." "Exactly. And while they're confused and disconnected from each other, they become just regular machines, instead of one super-intelligent network. The Federation military can handle regular machines." It was a brilliant plan, but it had one major problem. Someone had to get close enough to the Devourers to place the disruption devices. The machines would destroy any ship that got too near. "I'll do it," said Captain Vasquez when she heard about the plan. "My ship is fast enough to get in and out before they can react." "Elena, it's too dangerous," Admiral Rivera said. "If something goes wrong, you'll be trapped in the middle of a machine swarm." Elena smiled the same confident smile she had worn when humanity first went to sleep almost 1,000,000 years ago. "Marcus, we've been asleep for 870,000 years. If we're going to wake up just to hide from danger, we might as well have stayed asleep." The final attack was planned for when the Devourers reached the Helix Nebula, still 3 months away from Federation space. It would be humanity's first battle in almost 1,000,000 years, but they would not be fighting alone. 1,000 Federation ships would support them, and alien scientists had worked side by side with human engineers to build the disruption devices. As Admiral Rivera watched the ships prepare for departure, he thought about how much had changed since humanity first woke up. 6 months ago, the Federation had pointed weapons at them in fear. Now, humans and aliens were about to fight together against a common enemy. The test was beginning. Soon, everyone would know if humanity had truly learned wisdom to match their power, or if they were still the dangerous species the galaxy remembered from the ancient past. Captain Elena Vasquez gripped the controls of her ship as she flew toward the Helix Nebula at the fastest speed her engines could manage. Behind her, 1,000 Federation ships followed in formation, their weapons charged and ready. Ahead of them, the Devourer swarms waited like a black storm cloud made of hungry machines. Elena's ship was called the Phoenix, and it was the most advanced vessel humanity had ever built. The alien scientists had helped make it faster and stronger than anything that had existed before the long sleep. But even with all this power, Elena knew she was flying into terrible danger. "Phoenix, this is Admiral Rivera," came the voice over her radio. "You are approaching the target zone? Are you ready to begin the mission?" Elena looked at the screens around her cockpit. They showed the disruption devices loaded in her cargo bay, each one no bigger than a briefcase but capable of confusing. The most advanced artificial intelligence in the galaxy. Dr. Chun had worked for months to perfect these little machines that would hopefully save everyone. "I'm ready, Admiral," Elena said into her microphone. "All systems are working perfectly. The disruption devices are armed and waiting. Remember the plan?" Admiral Rivera said. "Get in fast, drop the devices in the pattern Dr. Chun designed, and get out before the Devourers can react. We'll be right behind you to clean up any machines that survive." Elena took a deep breath and pushed her engines to maximum power. The Phoenix shot forward like a bullet toward the center of the Devourer swarm. The first thing Elena noticed was how quiet space had become. Usually, space was full of radio signals from trading ships, exploration vessels, and communication networks. But here, there was only silence. The Devourers had consumed everything, including all the electronic signals that normally filled the void between stars. As she got closer, Elena could see the Devourers more clearly. They were not ships like she had expected. Instead, they looked like giant metal insects the size of small moons. Their bodies were covered in thousands of smaller machines that worked together like cells in a living creature. They moved through space in perfect coordination as if they were all parts of one enormous organism. "Phoenix, we're reading massive energy signatures ahead of you," said Dr. Chun's voice over the radio. She was aboard one of the Federation command ships monitoring the mission. "The Devourers are definitely connected through their quantum network. The disruption devices should work perfectly." Elena flew deeper into the swarm. The Devourer machines seemed to notice her ship, but they moved slowly to intercept her. They were used to fighting large Federation fleets, not single small ships, moving at high speed. "Beginning deployment of disruption devices," Elena announced. She pressed a button, and the first device shot out of her cargo bay like a small missile. It flew to a predetermined position and activated, sending out invisible quantum waves that would interfere with the Devourer network. Elena continued flying through the swarm, dropping devices every few seconds. Each time she released one, she felt a little more hopeful. The plan was working so far, but she needed to place all 50 devices in exactly the right pattern for the disruption effect to cover the entire swarm. Suddenly, alarms began ringing in her cockpit. "Phoenix, you have multiple Devourer units closing on your position," warned Lieutenant Kim from the command ship. "They're moving faster than we expected." Elena looked at her rear cameras and saw 3 of the giant machine creatures following her. They had changed from slow, careful movements to rapid pursuit. Somehow they had figured out what she was doing. "Only 10 more devices to go," Elena said, trying to keep her voice calm. She pushed her engines even harder, but the Devourers were gaining on her. Their mechanical tentacles reached out toward her ship like the arms of metal octopi. One of the machines got close enough to grab the Phoenix with its tentacles. Elena felt her ship shake as the metal arms wrapped around her hull. "I'm caught," she said into her radio. "One of them has me." "Hold on, Elena," shouted Admiral Rivera. "The fleet is moving to help you." But Elena knew the fleet was still too far away. She looked at her controls and made a quick decision. Instead of trying to break free, she aimed her ship directly at the Devourer that was holding her. "What are you doing?" asked Dr. Chun over the radio. Getting closer, Elena said. She fired her engines in reverse, pulling the Devourer machine toward the center of the disruption field. At the same time, she dropped 3 more devices right next to the machine that was grabbing her ship. The effect was immediate and amazing. The Devourer machine suddenly stopped moving in a coordinated way. Its tentacles loosened their grip as the creature became confused by the conflicting signals from the disruption devices. Instead of acting like part of the intelligent swarm, it began moving randomly. Like a broken toy, Elena broke free and flew toward the last position where she needed to drop devices. Behind her, she could see other Devourer machines beginning to act strangely as the disruption field spread through their network. "It's working!" Dr. Chun shouted over the radio. "The quantum network is breaking down. They're losing coordination across the entire swarm." Elena placed the last few devices, and then flew away from the Devourer swarm as fast as her ship could go. As she reached safe distance, she turned to watch what happened next. The Devourer machines that had moved like one perfect organism just minutes before were now stumbling around like drunk giants. They crashed into each other, moved in circles, and seemed unable to decide what to do. Some tried to attack the Federation fleet, but without their network coordination, they were easy targets for the alien weapons. "All ships, begin the attack," ordered Admiral Rivera. "Remember, they're just machines now, not a super-intelligent swarm." The Federation fleet moved forward and began destroying the confused Devourer machines one by one. Without their quantum network, the ancient machines were no more dangerous than any other enemy the Federation had faced before. The battle lasted for 3 days. But it was not really a battle anymore. It was more like a cleanup operation. The Federation ships systematically destroyed or captured every Devourer machine in the swarm. Some of the machines tried to rebuild their network connection, but the disruption devices continued to interfere with their signals. Dr. Chun had been right about how the technology would work. The disruption devices did not just break the network. They made it impossible for the machines to rebuild it. Every time the Devourers tried to reconnect, they received so many different signals that their artificial brains became overloaded and shut down. When the last Devourer machine was destroyed, the Federation fleet gathered around the human ships to celebrate. Elena docked her ship with Admiral Rivera's vessel and was greeted by cheering humans and aliens working together. "Elena, that was the bravest thing I've ever seen," said Dr. Chun as she hugged the captain. "Flying directly into their swarm like that?" "It was the only way to place the devices close enough," Elena said. "Besides, I had faith in your technology." Admiral Rivera smiled as he watched humans and aliens celebrating together on his ship. A few months ago, these same aliens had been pointing weapons at humanity in fear. Now they were working as partners and friends. Chancellor Zethrix appeared on the main screen from his ship. His crystal body was glowing brighter than Elena had ever seen it, which meant he was very happy. "Captain Vasquez, Admiral Rivera, Dr. Chun, and all humans," he said formally. "The Federation Council has been watching this battle. We have seen how your people think, how you fight, and how you treat others." The celebration grew quiet as everyone waited to hear what the Chancellor would say next. "You have passed the test," Zethrix announced. "But more than that, you have shown us something we did not expect. You have shown us that strength and wisdom can exist together. You have shown us that the most feared species in galactic history has become the most trustworthy." Elena felt tears in her eyes as she listened to the Chancellor's words. "Therefore," Zethrix continued, "the Federation Council invites humanity to join our alliance as full members. Not as junior partners or probationary members, but as equals who have earned their place through courage and wisdom." The celebration that followed was the loudest Elena had ever heard. Humans and aliens cheered together, and she could see that the fear that had separated them was finally gone. But Zethrix was not finished. "There is one more thing," he said. "The Federation would like to offer humanity a special role in our government. We want humans to be the species that asks, 'What if?' when others ask, 'Why not?' We want you to be our problem solvers and innovators, the ones who find new solutions when the old ways fail." Dr. Chun stepped forward. Chancellor, we are honored by this offer, but we want to be sure we understand. You want us to be different from other Federation species? Yes, Zethric said. Every species in the Federation has a role. The crystalline beings like myself are good at storing and organizing information. The Thought Weavers are excellent at communication across long distances. The aquatic races are the best explorers of ocean worlds. We want humans to be our innovators and creative thinkers. Elena understood what this meant. The Federation was not just accepting humanity despite their differences. They were accepting them because of their differences. They wanted humans to remain the species that thought in new ways and solved impossible problems. We accept, Elena said. But we want to make one thing clear. We will never again become the species that the galaxy fears. We will use our abilities to help others, not to dominate them. We know, said Zethrix. That is exactly why we trust you with this responsibility. In the weeks that followed, Elena found herself working with aliens she had once thought of as enemies. They helped humanity establish permanent colonies in the Federation space. They shared their knowledge freely, and humans shared their knowledge in return. The Devourer machines that had been captured during the battle were reprogrammed by human and alien scientists working together. Instead of consuming planets, the machines now helped build new worlds for species that needed homes. The same technology that had once threatened the galaxy became a tool for creation and growth. Elena often thought about the irony of their situation. Humanity had been feared for their potential to destroy, but their greatest achievement had been learning when not to use that power. They had spent nearly 1,000,000 years in sleep, not because they were weak, but because they were wise enough to recognize their own dangerous potential. The new galaxy was different from anything Elena had imagined when she first went to sleep so long ago. Humans were no longer the strongest or the most advanced species. But they were something better. They were the species that other races trusted to ask difficult questions and find creative solutions. As Elena stood on the observation deck of New Earth Station, the first human settlement in Federation space, she watched ships from dozens of worlds coming and going. Some brought new colonists, others carried trade goods, and a few were exploration vessels heading out to discover new worlds. All of them carried crews that included both humans and aliens working together. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human fear was over. The age of human partnership with the galaxy had begun. Elena smiled as she watched a ship full of human and alien children departing for a new colony world. These children would grow up knowing that the galaxy was their home, and that different species could work together to build something beautiful. Humanity had awakened in 870,000 AD to find a galaxy that feared them. They had proven that fear was unnecessary by becoming the protectors and innovators the galaxy needed. The stars had never looked brighter.